Okay. Good morning. We now have connectivity with YouTube, so we can get started. It's now 10, 11, 11:20. We were supposed to get started at 10. So we'll try to go through the agenda for this morning as quickly as possible. So good morning, good morning. During the declared emergency in the City of Toronto, Committee of Adjustment virtual public hearings continue to be conducted publicly, are now being conducted by electronic means through WebEx, an online digital platform, and streamed on the City of Toronto Planning YouTube channel. These measures are necessary to comply with physical distancing requirements and a provincial order that limits attendance at public gatherings. This will be a virtual public hearing, and participants who have registered in advance will be able to make their presentations to the committee using WebEx, an online event that is being moderated by city staff. Anyone wishing to view the hearing may do so by watching on YouTube. Participants who have registered in advance will be connecting either by their computer, a phone, or tablet app, or by telephone. All participants will automatically be muted on entry, and when your item is called, each participant will be unmuted by the moderator, one person at a time. Only the committee of members will be participating by video. Any registered participants will be participating by audio only. We ask that you also mute your devices until you are called on to speak. Land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that the lands we're meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit. In accordance with Sections 53 and 45 of the Planning Act, 1990 as amended, this meeting of the Committee of Adjustment of the City of Toronto was called to order. The Committee of Adjustment considers applications for variances from the provisions of the zoning bylaw that apply to the property, permissions to extend or alter lawful non-conforming uses, and consents to sever properties to create new lots. Anyone who wishes to receive a copy of the committee's decision on an application must submit a written request for a decision by email. Please ensure that you include your name, address, and email address, because Committee of Adjustment and TLAB will be sending notifications and appeal updates by email in the event of an appeal. If you do not agree with the Committee of decisions may be appealed to the Toronto Local Appeal Body, or in some limited circumstances to the Local Planning Appeal Tribunal. Appeal instructions are set out at the bottom of the decision of the committee. The hearing procedure is as follows. We'll call each item in the order listed in the agenda. We started item number 1. We'll go straight through to item number 12 for this morning's agenda. In the virtual context, we're not going to vet we just go in order. When an application is uncontested, the agent or application will proceed with their presentation if required. The committee may ask questions or take the matter into the committee for a decision. Each speaker, including the applicant agent, will be given a maximum of 5 minutes to address the committee. Mr. Kamerick will be watching the clock and will comment when you're approaching the 5-minute mark. When addressing the committee, please clearly state your name and address for the record when you start off, and please remember to confine your remarks to matters outlined in the application. We deal with planning issues. We don't deal with construction issues or disputes between neighbors. The applicant or agent goes first. Where there is someone in opposition, will make a presentation to the committee. Please note that the committee may not entertain revisions to proposals today. The committee may decide to defer the application if substantially revised, in order to ensure that the revised application is accurate and all those entitled to notice of the application are informed of the changes. Then individuals either in support or opposed to the application will be invited to speak. Again, each speaker will be given a maximum of 5 minutes. Committee members may ask questions of each speaker after they finish their presentations, and when all speakers are finished, the applicant or agent will have an opportunity to rebut only those issues that are raised by the speakers. Typically, that should be done in 5 minutes, but if there are like 8 speakers on a particular application, I will use my discretion to perhaps give the applicant more time to go through all of the concerns raised by the speakers. That will mark the end of the discussion. The applicant is then taken into the committee for a decision. The members in In attendance today on this application are to my left, Mr. Taylor, to my right, Mr. Kamarick. We have virtually Ms. Alderson, and my name is Michael Clark, and I'm your chair. So I believe we don't have any minutes to confirm. Are there any declarations of interest by staff or members for the items in this morning's time slot? No? Okay. And, okay, are there any files to be closed?
We can deal with those after to save some time.
Okay, so let's proceed to the first item, which is 57 North Drive. And I believe we only have one speaker registered for this, so this should be quick, Mr. Calmone, the agent. This matter is before the committee, I believe in July, and there looked like there was a variance missing. This is for a new detached dwelling with an attached garage, and what's before us now is the front yard setback. What was approved in July was 15.56 front yard setback, and what in fact has been built is 15.38, so we're out by 0.18. Mr. Calmone, are you with us?
I am. Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee.
Welcome. So could you let us know just briefly what happened here? You were here in July, and you need now a slightly greater front yard setback variance.
Yes, so the reason for this application is there was an existing front wall that comprised a two-car garage. During demolition, the wall, due to structural integrity, came down and
Can you try speaking a
re-erected.
little louder, sir? Can you try talking a little closer into the phone, or?
Okay. Back in, I guess, following the initial C of A decision, the front wall, which comprised of the two-car garage, due to structural integrity, the wall came down and it was re-erected in the same position. However, as a result, we exceeded the 50% of existing walls to be maintained, and it deemed that front wall as non-conforming. And that's essentially the reason we're here today. So the wall is exactly in the same position as the previous application. It's just that in the previous application, it was deemed to be existing. It was reconstructed, and therefore we're back to the committee for relief from the bylaw.
Okay, and I see we have Urban Forestry looking for conditions 1 and 2 on this application. We also have comments from Ravines and copy of the previous decision. Committee members, do you have any questions for the agents? And if not, we ready for a motion?
Mr. Chairman, sorry, just one note on
Yes.
the condition from forestry. Because we've already been through forestry and a good portion of the structure is up. In fact, our footprint is a little bit smaller than the previous application. We were wondering if we might be able to have that condition waived, as well as within.
So was there a condition on the previous approval back in July?
Yes, there was, and we met all those conditions.
Okay, but just for, I don't know what the members think, but just in the abundance of caution, in the event they're not, there should still be a condition, I would imagine, on this, unless the condition stands on the previous decision. Madam Secretary Treasurer, could you perhaps let us know?
So they've asked for the conditions again. If they were okay, they wouldn't have asked. So we would say to impose them again, and they can get new clearances.
Okay. Okay. So there's no hardship to having that condition reiterated, and you said you've complied with it, so that shouldn't be an issue. So if no one has any questions, can I have a motion on this application, please?
Mr. Chair, I find the variance request to be minor in nature and meets the other 3 tests under the Planning Act as well. And I would move approval subject to urban forestry conditions 1 and 2.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Do I have a seconder for that motion?
I can second that.
Let Laura go.
Tie goes to the runner. I think Stan was slightly before you, even though there's a time delay. We'll get you next time. All in favor?
Okay.
Okay, we have unanimous approval. Thank you, Mr. Calmone. Have a great day. I'm sorry about the delay.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, item number 2, 10 CAFON Court. This is an application for a second-story addition above the existing dwelling. There are 6 variances, and we have registered the speaker on this, Kevin Washington, who I believe is the agent, who did not pre-register. Mr. Washington, are you here with us?
Yes, I am.
Okay. I see here that planning has some comments on this application. If you can give us a pre-presentation, and if you've seen the planning request that
Yes.
they wish variances 4 and 5 to be modified. Otherwise, they
Yes,
wish, they're recommending we refuse the application. Are you okay with the modification?
Yeah, so we're gonna comply with that and make the modification.
Okay, you don't have revised plans showing that.
Not as yet,
But
no.
you're okay with the condition that modification for variance 4, the setback increased on the north side from 0.9
Yes,
from what you have, and as well the proposed second-story platform be reduced to 10 meters. So you're
Yes.
okay with those 2 changes. Committee members, any questions for the agent on this application? So this is a straight top-up, correct? There's no other additions, it's just a straight top-up from
yes,
one
it's a
story
second
to
story
2
addition.
story.
Yes.
Okay. So if no one has any questions for Mr. Washington, is someone ready for a motion?
Sure.
And I note there are no urban forestry comments on this application.
So just to confirm, it's based on an amended application by the applicant where this altered dwelling, variance 4, will be located 0.9 meters from the north side lot line, and variance 5 would be modified to say the proposed second-story rear platform will have an area of 10 square meters.
And the agent has indicated that they're okay with those changes being proposed.
Find the application to be minor, meets the 4 tests. I would therefore like to propose approval as amended for variances 4 and variances 5.
Thank you, Mr. Kamarick. Seconder for that.
I can second that one.
Thank you, Ms. Alderson. All in favor? You have unanimous approval, Mr. Washington. Have a great day.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Item number 3 is 30 Harold Street. Daniel Allen is the registered, he didn't pre-register, but he's the applicant on this application. Mr. Allen, are you with us?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is for a new detached dwelling with an attached garage. There are 3 variances proposed. Urban Forestry is looking for condition number 3. There are 3 minor variances. Transportation has a condition of approval. We have some opposition.
Okay.
And, sir, you were aware of the opposition and the transportation condition?
Yes, the transportation conditions I have seen.
Okay. So it looks like the neighbor, I'm just looking at their letter, is concerned with the setback.
Okay.
Have you seen that letter and your?
No, I have not seen that letter, but we do have some other option we wanted to do by not enclosing the garage portion.
Yeah, okay, you see the
Almost
neighbor at
like
32
like
is
a
written
couple.
into us, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Committee members, do you have any questions for the applicant in particular with respect to the concerns raised by the neighbor? And you're okay, sir, with the transportation condition being proposed?
Yes, we will deal with it accordingly.
Okay.
Yeah, because we just wanted the house to look in terms of setback similar to house 42 and 44. I think 5 houses down below this current
Right.
house.
Right, but the neighbor is
It's the
concerned
same
with
setback.
they want, the setback requirement is 0.9, and you're seeking 0.61, which is a variance of
Yeah.
0.3, like 1 foot.
Yes.
Let's see if committee members have any questions for you, or
Okay.
if someone's ready to make a motion. No questions? Someone ready to make a motion on this application?
Mr. Chair, I find the variances requested meet the four tests under the Planning Act, and I move approval subject to urban forestry condition 3 and transportation department conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Seconder for that?
Can I make a friendly amendment to that and I'll second it? The
Go on.
friendly amendment would be that the applicant would go and speak with the neighbor at number 32, just to have a friendly conversation with them.
It's typically not a condition because there's no, like, how can we enforce that? Perhaps we can
Well,
just make
it's
you know,
it's just a suggestion, that's all.
Okay.
And I'd be happy to second that motion.
okay, thank you. All in favor? Okay, matter is unanimously approved. Thank you, Mr. Allen.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, item number 4 is 20 EDGECROFT Road. It's an application for, just make sure I'm on the right one here. Okay, it's another detached dwelling with an attached garage. And there's 7 variances. And the app is Kathy Kadziela there, please, with us.
Yes, here.
Okay, so you're the only person registered. We have no neighbors registered on this application to speak. I have a note here about height. Why do I have a note here about height?
Could it be the soffit height?
Okay, just wait a second. 244. Oh, I guess I was just highlighting that there is a height variance, a soffit height of, yeah, 0.5 meter.
That's right. The pitch of the roof is actually quite low, or it's lower than a typical traditional house.
Mm-hmm.
So by raising the soffit height a little bit, it's actually more in keeping with the existing 2-story homes on the street. So we wanted to maintain the height as you drive past.
Okay, very good. Committee members, do you have any questions for the agent, or is someone ready
have
to
a
make
question.
a motion? Yep.
On this, I'm a little confused with your site plan. It's, when I look at the site plan, the driveway is shown on the right side. When I look at your elevation, the driveway is shown on the left side. Can you explain that, please?
Yes, so I have been working as a control architect for the last 10 years, and I know that it's an industry standard that on working drawings, your driveway, just for ease of review, is typically on the left side, and the site plan actually reflects what will be built on site.
Okay, I'm still confused because your elevation shows the driveway on the left side.
That's right. That whenever you're showing elevation drawings and working drawings, the driveway is typically on the left side, just as an industry standard.
No, that's not true. All applications should be reflective of what is being proposed, because this is what the neighbors see and the committee has to make a decision on. So you can't just arbitrarily switch, because looking at the plans, how do you know which one is the correct one?
Furthermore, if we want to tie something to your drawings, how do we do that? Like if we say, okay, it's approved as per your, significantly to your site plan or your drawings, when they reflect 2 different things, it's not possible to do that.
Right. I understand your feedback. Again, when the submission was originally made, I wish I could have learned of the fact that it would have been an issue to have the drawing or the elevation drawing show the driveway on the left.
So you're saying the driveway's on the left, but it's actually on the right? Because if the neighbors get this, they're going to think, oh my God, you're moving the driveway. But meanwhile, you know, or maybe no one has weighed in on this application, but perhaps would they have weighed in if they had seen the correct plans? Madam Secretary Treasurer, would you like to weigh in on this?
We've taken the time to talk to the neighbors in the immediate area of this property.
Okay, so
So
they're
that's why
aware of
we're
what's
not-
happening here.
Yeah, no, definitely. We've definitely taken the time. That's why there's no questions or any opposing members.
I have a question.
Sure.
Urban forestry has a condition, so is that condition based on the driveway being on either the left or the right?
I've been in touch with urban forestry. It's regarding the maple at the front of the property and the driveway being on the right. The issue is there are some tree roots in the vicinity of the existing asphalt driveway. So we've sort of worked with urban forestry to suggest a permeable driveway instead in order to maintain the health of that tree at the front of the property.
Okay, so the condition was actually made with the driveway located on the right side, not the left. Is that correct?
Correct.
So the survey it shows on
And
the
you're
right.
You're aware of that condition, number one.
Yes, most definitely.
Okay, so the survey shows the garage on the right. And you're saying the drawings, Mr. Kamarick, shows the
On the opposite.
garage
side.
on the opposite side.
So I'd like to propose a motion.
Okay.
I'd like to propose that the application be deferred so that the applicant can submit the correct drawings to reflect what's actually being proposed.
Okay, thank you. It sounds like a reasonable motion. Who's the seconder for that motion? Mr. Taylor? Ms. Kadziela, do you understand there's a motion on the floor to have this matter deferred so that the drawings can be corrected to show the garage actually where it's going to go, and for there to be recirculation and matter to be brought back on for a hearing after that has been done.
Do you have an approximate time of?
Well, you'll
when
have to
the-
contact staff. We're going to have to defer it, and when you have the proper plans, you'll contact staff. There'll have to be recirculation, perhaps at your expense, just for the postage, and then it'll have to be rescheduled for a hearing.
Can we
Thank you,
finish
Mr.
the
Kamarick, for
motion?
catching that.
Can we finish the motion and then I'll advise
Yes.
her on that?
Okay, so all in favor? Okay, the matter has unanimously been deferred for the purpose noted by Mr. Kamarick.
So in an effort to be fair to all the applicants that have been waiting quite a long time to get scheduled for virtual hearings, which are limited to capacity, you will not be rescheduled until we've dealt with all the other applications at least once. So you're probably looking at October.
Again, this is a bit disappointing to hear,
Well-
especially when the town or the city had so much time to review the application.
Yeah.
And that this wasn't, it's not necessarily an issue of design, but the way that something is represented.
Anyway,
in the
Ms.
document.
Kazella, Mr. Kamarick explained in his motion, I believe it's correct. We have to, we're required to send proper notice to the neighbors because we don't know if there would be objections. So if we had approved, that would be a problem if we had approved it based on proper drawings. So anyway, the matter has been determined. We have to move on to the next hearing, and we'll see you back here again.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
committee.
you. Okay, item number 5 is 88 Elsfield Road. This is to construct a second-story addition above the existing dwelling, a two-story south side addition and rear addition, and a new front porch. We have revised, I mentioned the height on the last application was with respect to this one, that the height has in fact been reduced from proposed at 9.04 meters, whereas 7.2 is permitted, to 7.6. So that is the nature of the revision. We have 6 variances. We have a covering letter, and planning is looking for a condition in the event of approval that the matter be built substantially in accordance with the site plan. And urban forestry is looking for urban forestry conditions condition number 2. We have registered on this application Pamela Pan, the agent.
Now, Mr. Chair, I'd just
No?
like to point out the planning condition refers to the elevation drawings received March 13th, but because of the revision to the height, that condition won't match the proposed variance.
Okay, so the condition has to be referred to. So is there a new drawing showing the reduced height of 7.6?
I believe they're the ones included in your package dated July 3rd.
Okay. Okay, so just, we have Pamela Pan with us and also John Katchadorian, the neighbor at 84. Are you with
Mr.
us?
Chairman, I only have Pamela Pan unmuted at the moment, but I did sound check Mr. Katchadorian. He is present.
Okay, so let's, Ms. Pam, can you perhaps give us a brief presentation since we have someone here with concerns and objection?
Yes, good morning, committee members and supporting staff. We are very mindful of the street, the neighborhood, and the immediate neighbors. And by doing so, I just want to point out, if you can look at the site plan A2, which submitted on July 15th. And it shows that, first of all, because we are going to add on existing garage and existing one-story dwelling. And so we have pushed back the existing garage by 1.71 meters. And also that if you see the side and the south side and the rear addition, we are mindful, we are trying to comply with the zoning bylaw, and also that in the backyard, we don't have any deck. We only have a stair goes to the backyard, and our soft landscape area is 93%. And we are going to protect the tree at southwest corner. So just conclude what we have done, and look at the notice that number 3, number 4, number 6 are existing condition. And
Okay.
and the lot coverage is 40%. Basically, we have done some homework that in that neighborhood, there are several previous applications. Their lot coverage is about 30 or 30, even more. Let's say, for example, 64 ELSFIELD Road is 44%. 61 ELSFIELD is 41, and 86 is 40%. So we are 40%, really in line with what have been done in this area.
Okay, so, ma'am, I'm just looking at the condition that was proposed by planning was dated July the 7th, and it basically was based on the 9.04 height, showing that it didn't tie to the drawings because that 9.04 was not for the whole roof; it was just for a certain section. But now that you've lowered the height to 7.6. So that variance
Yes.
is not the same as it was in the planning memo. My question is whether this condition is still required now that you've brought the entire height down to 7.6.
So basically, we have submitted new zoning notice.
Yes.
Attached with the, revised drawings that shows clearly that the highest point is 7.6 meters.
Yes.
Due to the slope and the front edge of the roof is 7.44. If you could look at the A10, page A10, please.
Anyway, so what I'm just saying is that condition I don't think is no longer relevant, given that you've lowered and submitted revised plans. So let's see if committee members, first of all, is John Katchadorian with us? John?
I'm here. Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, sir. Can you let us know what your concerns are with this application being built? You're the neighbor right next door at 84, correct?
It's 2 doors over, but 86 was recently completed build and had similar issues With
Oh,
respect,
right,
my
this is
concerns are
88.
really with respect to the, sorry?
So 86 is between you, but 86 was topped up also, or there's something at 86?
It was a new build, and they
Yes.
were, my concern is the side yard setbacks, and they were denied at the Committee of Adjustment for actually 61 centimeters. And when we went to the OMB, they were granted a 90 centimeter side yard setback, and what they're requesting here is really less than 43 centimeters, you can barely walk next to it, and the concern is it'll set a precedent in the neighborhood,
Okay.
and that changes the character.
Right, so it's not right next to you because 86 is in between, but you're concerned about the precedent on that. Because I don't know if we haven't heard
Absolutely.
from that neighbor. I don't know if they're aware. So yeah, we're looking at the side yard setback is 0.5 from the south and 4.3 from the north. So you're thinking where it should be 1.2. So you're saying at the OMB they settled on 0.9?
Correct. That's right. And another thing I'll point out, the application was submitted by a developer, but they say the reason for it is family needs or something like that. So I don't, it says existing site condition. They just purchased the property. I don't know when it closed, maybe a month ago. So
Yes.
they knew what the conditions were when they bought it.
Correct.
So,
Yeah, it shows here
the
the owner's listed as
reasoning doesn't
Summerwell
seem-
Development Corp.
That's right. The reasoning doesn't seem reasonable to me. And there's no reason why they need to be that close. The house is quite large. I have no issue with the height or with the, coverage or the percentage or any of that. It's just these side yard setbacks, you're going to end up with row townhouses if these continue to shrink to this level.
Okay, and like you
And
said, the
eaves
house.
as well. The issue.
So the house at 86 was approved at 0.9 on both
Correct.
sides,
I can't recall.
but on your
it was-
side, the side that affected you.
It was the smaller number was 0.9. I think the larger one was 1.1 or point one,
Okay.
1 meter, something like that. I can't recall exactly.
Okay, thank you, sir. Those are your concerns. I guess you're not worried. The height you're aware that the plans that they've submitted revised plans, so the height has now been brought down. It's no
Yes,
longer.
I was in touch with the person responsible for this file, and she pointed out where the height was reduced. It's still 1 foot higher than what it's supposed to be, but that's fine. Like I'm not here to oppose this development. It's just the side yard setbacks are too narrow.
Okay, thank you, sir. So let's see if committee members have any questions for you, and if not, we'll flip it over back to the agent to respond to your concerns. No questions? Okay.
I do have one question or one comment. It seems that the issue here right now is that planning hasn't weighed in on these revised plans. Is that correct, Barbara? We don't have anything from planning regarding the revised plans and how they might differ from the first plans.
Well, they brought the height down.
Their report is
That's true,
dated,
but the side yard setbacks is the concern of the neighbor, so.
Yeah, I
that's
don't think
why I'd like to know
planning
whether-
didn't mention any concerns with that. I don't believe, correct?
no,
So-
planning asked for a condition to tie it to the plans. And,
But that was with respect to the height when there was just at 0.9.
right.
Right, so
And
are the
their
side yard
report-
setbacks the same
Yes.
Yes.
in the first set of plans versus the second set of plans? That's really what my concern was. Okay, well, if planning doesn't seem to have a concern with it, I guess I don't either.
They didn't make it any bigger when they did the revised plans, and planning didn't point, but the neighbor
Okay.
has brought up a good point, and then advised us about what happened at the house next door, which went to the OMB.
Yep.
Okay, so perhaps
Okay.
we can have Ms. Pam respond to that concern.
Yes, so basically I have to point it out that, thank you for the neighbor attending this hearing. Basically, I have to point out that 86 is different from, the nature of the development is different from ours because 86 is a new build.
Mhm.
If it's a new build, has all the room and possibilities of complying with the zoning bylaw. But ours is really addition on top of existing. And we are mindful of not adding second floor an existing garage. So we want to soften it up by pushing the garage a little bit backwards and recessed from existing garage front wall by 1.71 meters. And also that if you look at the site plan, A2, that beyond garage, because garage has to have certain size, and beyond garage, the side addition was set back more than the garage, than the addition existing condition. So we really tried to make the whole product, the whole outlook is more softened, not just building some kind of a box, modern box on the street and forcing people to accept it. So we wanted to meet the, family needs and 3 bedrooms, etc. But in the meantime, it's pleasing. It has to be pleasing. If you look at the rear yard, and we try to maintain the existing tree, and we try not to have some kind of like elevated stage, like deck, and we want to maintain the current situation, current living surroundings for all the neighbors. So we are really mindful of this.
Okay, so
And
this is not a new build, this is an existing top-up, and you're adding a south side addition.
Yes.
So it's not like you're starting from scratch here. And I guess
No, and
the,
also
go ahead.
Also beyond the garage, say if you see the side plan, it is set back more from the side property line.
Okay,
So we have been trying hard, but
so you're saying it's not the entire lot at that, it's just based on the new additions being built. So you probably wouldn't have a problem if it was tied to the plans in terms of to make
Yes.
sure that setback is not the entire property.
yes,
Because on the south side, it is, the side yard is getting smaller because of the addition, correct? Like, obviously, you can't, it's not a completely new build, so you're dealing with what's on the site already.
yes. Actually, if we have not pushed the garage back, but and then we can make the whole side addition comply with 0.9 meters. But because I think it's very important to make it softer, and by pushing the garage back, but beyond this proposed garage, pushed back garage, and you see that portion has been brought like further away from the site property line.
Okay, thank you for that explanation, Ms. Pan. Committee members, any questions? And again, I draw your attention to the fact there is urban forestry condition number 2 on this, as well as the issue of whether the planning condition is now required due to the fact that they've reduced the height.
What's the current, Mr. Chair, if I may ask, what is the current side yard setback?
Before the additions, yeah.
Existing.
May I answer?
Yes.
It is current one is 0.5, and that is the south side setback. That is existing.
Sorry, so
That
what?
is the garage.
So what is the existing side yard south setback?
It is 0.5 meters.
So it's currently 0.5.
Yes, that's correct.
So that's essentially an existing condition.
Yes, that's correct.
Can I ask what's the current north side setback?
North side is, if you look at the site plan, A2, and that is existing, it is 0.43 meters.
Existing.
Yes, and if you see the shaded area is the addition.
Yeah.
We have to make it straight to make the room usable, so that's the reason. It's existing condition, and also it's a small portion.
Okay, any further questions, or is someone ready to make a motion?
Mr. Chair, I find the variances to meet the 4 tests under the Planning Act. I did have concerns about the narrowness of the side yards, but it's been pointed out that those side yards are existing. I think in a new build situation, it would be desirable to have side yards much wider than exist. When you contemplate things like moving lawnmowers and garbage disposal bins, less than half a meter really isn't enough. You'd be constantly encroaching on your neighbor, but again, these are existing conditions. So I move for approval subject to urban forestry condition 2 and a modified planning condition such that the building will be substantially in accordance with the July 3rd revised plans, July 3rd, 2020 revised plans, which would show the reduced height.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Taylor. We have a seconder for Mr. Taylor's motion. Mr. Comeric, all in favor? Unanimous approval. Thank you, sir, and thank you, Mr. Katchadorian. Okay, so that finishes item number 5. We'll move over to item number 6. 23 KINKORA Drive. We have registered as just Martin Zabzuni of Contempo Studios, the agent on this application. Sir, are you with us?
Correct. Good morning, Mr.
Marin?
Chair.
Good morning.
Can you hear me? Good morning, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, we can hear you. So this is an application to construct a new detached dwelling with an attached garage. There are 6 variances. There's a cover letter. We have a lot of support from area residents. And committee members, do you need a presentation on this application? No? Okay. Mr. Marin, with your permission, unless there's anything to add, I'm going to just see if committee members have any questions for you. I don't think they're looking for a presentation on this application. I see you have a second floor deck. Perhaps you can, a second floor platform. The second
The
story
rear
platform,
balcony,
it's oversized.
We worked with planning to reduce it, and we sent in the waiver to reduce that. That was the only concern from planning that we worked together on, and everything else they were satisfied along with the neighbors.
So what's the size of the area of the second floor platform? Still 9.05 square meters? Or has it been made smaller?
Yes, it was larger before. It was larger before.
I see.
So, yeah.
Okay. Okay, I don't see, there's no one opposed. We don't have any city departments looking for conditions, including urban forestry. So let's see if one of the committee members are ready for a motion or if they have any questions.
Oops. Just given that we're running late, I don't think I have any questions, and I would like to propose a motion that the application be approved. I find the request to be minor and it meets the 4 test.
Thank you, Mr. Comeric. Seconded for Mr. Comeric's motion. Ms. Alderson?
I can second that motion.
Okay, all in favor? Unanimous approval. Thank you. Thank you, Marin. Your application has been approved.
Thanks.
Okay, moving on to item number 7. 39 Del Rio Drive. Again, this is an application for a new detached dwelling with an attached garage. There are 4 variances on this application. Planning has a condition of approval. In the event of approval, that it be built substantially in accordance with the site plan. And we have neighbors in support. We have
I believe there's also an urban forestry condition too as well.
Yes, urban forestry item number 1. And we have Mr. Romano registered as the agent on this application. Mr. Romano, are you with us?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I am.
Hello, sir. Yeah, you're right. It is afternoon.
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that delay, sir. So
No worries.
if committee members, would you require an presentation on this application from Mr. Romano, or you just have some questions or ready for a motion? Sir, you're okay with the conditions proposed by urban forestry and planning staff?
Yes, planning staff's recommendation for the site plan reflects both the first floor and the second floor indentations. We can see that it's an articulated footprint, not only for the first floor, but also the second floor. The urban forestry condition is satisfactory. That condition are actually already being satisfied, but it's a satisfactory condition.
Okay, and you got a lot of neighbors and support. Any questions for Mr. Romano, or is someone ready to make a motion?
Mr. Chair, I find the variances to be in compliance with the 4 tests under the Planning Act, and I move approval subject to urban forestry condition 1 and the planning department condition.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor. Seconder for Mr. Taylor's motion. Mr. Kamarick, all in favor? You have unanimous approval, Mr. Romano.
Thank you kindly. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Okay, we'll see you tomorrow. We'll see you this afternoon.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, item number 8 is 555 Rexdale Boulevard.
Now, for this-
Tyler Peck is registered as agent. This is an application to construct a transit station with ancillary retail use. There are 2 variances, and planning has a condition of approval.
Mr. Chair, there is a letter of support that was submitted by the counselor, but it was submitted past the deadline, so you do not have it in your package.
Okay, so we can just add that to the minutes. We have comments from Ravines, from Metrolinx, and we have a cover letter and a previous decision on this address. Ravine has conditions. Metrolinx has no objection. Mr. Peck, are you with us?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. Yes, thank you.
Okay, welcome. Very straightforward application. You're aware of the planning condition being proposed?
We filed a letter with the committee earlier this week just to indicate that we have no objection to the planning conditions.
Okay. Committee members, any questions for Mr. Peck, or are you ready for a motion?
Just a question on the planning condition, if I may. One of the conditions is that it's for a 5-year limit. Are you okay with that?
That's correct. We don't object to that condition coming out of planning. That will allow sufficient time for the facility to be constructed and conveyed to Metrolinx, and to allow for the comprehensive applications with respect to site plan control and zoning bylaw amendments to be processed with city planning staff.
Right.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Peck. Any further questions, or are we ready for a motion? And there's the 3 planning conditions, which the applicant has indicated he is okay with.
I find the application to meet the 4 tests and would therefore like to move approval subject to forestry condition 2 and the 3 planning conditions as outlined.
Thank you, Mr. Kamarick. Seconder for that motion. Oh,
I'd like to second that motion.
okay, Laura, thank you. All in favor? Unanimous approval, Mr. Peck. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay, item number 9 is 19 Outlook Avenue. This is an application to construct a new detached garage. Looks like there's 1 variance. The lot coverage, 13% versus 10% permitted. We have nothing on this application other than the plan submitted with the application. No comments from neighbors or from city staff. Okay, is Michaela Silva there, please? Are you with us? Michaela Silva from MS Home Design, agent for 19 Outlook.
Mr. Chairman, I had sound checked Ms. Silva earlier, and she was present, so maybe she stepped away from the computer. I don't know. I can
Well, we only have 2 more items. We could hold it to the end of the morning agenda. See if she reappears. Otherwise, we may have to deal with it in absentia. There's nothing on this application. So let's go to number 10 then, 1941 Lawrence Avenue West. Is Tomas Gorel there, please? You with us?
Yes, present, yep.
Good morning. Good afternoon, rather.
Afternoon.
Mr. Romano pointed out earlier that we were into the afternoon. So this application, let me just scroll to it. This is for a new duplex dwelling. There are 6 variances. And transportation has a couple of memos. One, the newer one supersedes the earlier one. And
Correct.
I don't believe we have any other comments other than transportation comments on this application.
Correct.
Okay. Committee members, would you like Mr. Goral to make a presentation on this application, or just what's to make a motion? So this is for a duplex. And we have no comments from city staff or neighbors on this application.
No,
Other
just
than transportation. Sir, are you okay with the transportation condition?
Yes, because originally they objected because they didn't think we had any parking.
Right.
But we showed them that we do have a tandem parking, one after the other. And then that's when they changed it and said they're okay with it as long as we add some notes to the site plan during permit.
Right, so that's set out in their June 30th memo.
Correct, yes.
Which has certain conditions, 1 to 3. Okay, committee members, do you have any questions?
I have questions, and I'm not sure if it's for the applicant or if it's for staff, because one of the variances states that there is no parking to be provided, which is variance 5, I believe. And is that because the parking won't actually be legal?
In order for parking to be considered, it has to be a proper parking space.
It's tandem.
So in this case, this is,
Isn't it tandem? But don't they at least have 1 parking spot?
No,
well,
but it's not-
one of the variances is that it's in the front yard, which is in a permitted area. So even though they're showing parking on the plan, and they are 2 tandem spots, they are not in an area that they're required to be. So usually an attached garage, detached garage, somewhere in the rear yard.
Okay, so you're basically saying that variances 3 and 5 still stand, notwithstanding the condition on from transportation.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, similar question with regard to variance 4 then. This is speaking to 2 vehicle access points, but there's only going to be 1 access point, is there not?
Is that for me?
Sorry, it's for staff.
Oh, sorry.
Well, I get.
Like, why do we have variance 4? Because they're not proposing a circular drive, a U-shaped driveway.
They have 2 points of vehicle access, notwithstanding on the same street, which is what a circular driveway would have. But is that correct? Because it obviously it needs to be an 18-meter frontage. But this one is 11.43. So that's, I think, all this variance is pointing out that the lot.
I just find that variance confusing. Like, why is it there?
The applicant would have to address that because they submitted this with their application, which would mean that they've accepted the zoning interpretation. Perhaps they can advise.
Well, when I spoke to planning and then the transportation, I mean, I didn't make the variances, so the variances came and are written as they're written, but I just tried to show that regardless of what the variances are, we definitely will have 2 parking spots on our property. We have the 2nd floor cantilevering over the 1st floor. So in essence, we really could almost have 3 spots, but just for the application, I showed that we will definitely have 2.
No, that's not the
The driveway
question,
on the side.
but I think I have the answer. If you show the survey for the property and blow it up to the front, there's a curb cut to the driveway where the applicant is showing the 2 tandem spaces, but there's also a curb cut, which I think is on the east side, which is used for the neighbor's driveway. But it's technically in front of their property.
Okay, so that's
I
why
think
technically
why
there's
they
2
put
curb
it-
cuts on the same street,
Yeah.
which is typically, like Mr. Kamarick said on us, for a circular driveway. And for a circular driveway, you need to have an 18-meter wide lot. In this case, it's 11.43. So it's a technical, I guess it's, okay. Good question. Any other questions for either staff or the applicant, or are we ready for a motion? Remember, we have the transportation condition.
Okay, I'm prepared to do a motion, but I think just, well, let me give it a shot. I believe it meets the 4 tests, and therefore I'd like to move approval. I'd like to make that approval subject to the 2 transportation conditions. I'd also like to make it subject to the site plan that is submitted, so that it's clear as to what's actually happening here.
Okay, so it should be built substantially in accordance with the site plan, and staff can identify that either the date it was
Did
submitted.
you want to state including the 2 tandem parking spaces?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion seconded by Mr. Taylor. All in favor? Unanimous approval. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Goral. Okay, item number 11 is 54 Moncton Avenue. And this is an application for a new rear yard deck and detached garage in the rear yard. There are 2 variances. We have registered on this application the agent, Mr. Lay, as well as the, I guess, the owners are here just to observe on YouTube, because we're going to only have 1 speaker if on this application. This is every application. So I assume it's Mr. Lai, you're the one who's speaking?
Yes. Hello, committee. Hello, Mr. Chair.
Yes. Okay, so this application, we have 2 variances for coverage and FSI, and it's basically a new rear yard deck and a detached garage in the rear yard. Committee members, do you need a presentation on this application? No? Okay. Anyone have any questions for the agent? Yeah, Mr. Kamarick has a question for you, sir.
Okay, so essentially, what's being proposed here is the current garage is going to become part of the occupied house space, and a new garage is going to be
Yes, that's
built.
right.
Okay, so as part of that, are you going to remove the existing driveway?
Yes, we will remove the existing. That is the plan to convert part of it to soft landscaping. That's noted on the site plan.
Okay, but I think you need to convert more than just part of it. I think it'll need to all go soft landscaping, but okay, just wanted to clarify that. Thanks.
Right. Thanks.
Okay. Any further questions?
John has a question.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Are you aware of an okay with urban forestry condition numbers 1 and 2? Mr. Lai?
Sorry, we didn't receive any urban forestry comments that I'm aware of.
You didn't?
No.
Okay, well, let me read them to you.
Yes, we send all urban forestry comments to all the agents on file. You would have received an email last week.
Okay.
They're asking for a
Yes, we
complete.
are not removing any trees on the property for the garage.
Well, regardless, they're asking for a complete application for a permit to injure or remove a city-owned tree and submission of a complete application for a permit to injure or remove a privately owned tree.
Okay.
Okay?
Neighbors' trees may be affected.
Yes, no problem. It will be a slab on grade for the garage, and we won't be digging a foundation for the garage.
Okay. Any further questions, or are we ready for a motion?
Prepared to do a motion. I believe the application meets the 4 tests. I would therefore like to move approval subject to forestry conditions 1 and 2, and also subject to the existing driveway asphalt being removed and soft landscaping being restored, including the public boulevard portion of that driveway.
Thank you, Mr. Comeric, for that motion. We have a seconder for that motion. Getting some feedback on this application. Mr. Taylor, all in favor?
All in favor?
You have your approval. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lay. Thank you to the homeowners who are listening in. Okay.
Mr. Chair, that feedback was coming from that user's WebEx. So now that they're now that they're muted, we should have that solved.
Okay. So we're on to number 12, and then we have to go back and deal with number 9. So number 12 is 51 Collinglindale Road. This is an application for second-story, two-story addition and a second-story balcony. And there are 2 variances, the FSI and the area of the balcony. And we have a planning report for information. And we have urban forestry looking for condition number 2. And we all have, sir, the application, we have on this application, we have the agent, Arben Spati.
Yes,
And we
speaking.
have
I'm
the
here.
neighbor at 49 Collinglindale Road next door, Maria Mazuchin, and as well Peter and Paul Mazuchin. We're only going to have one speaker. I understand it may be due to a language barrier or technical issues that we have the other 2, but who's going to be speaking on behalf of the neighbor?
Mr. Chairman, from my understanding, Maria Mazuchin will definitely be speaking, but at least one of the other 2 will also be speaking on different points.
Okay, well, they're hopefully in 5 minutes. So, okay, is the applicant here, Mr. Spati?
Yes, I'm
Agent.
here.
Okay, sir. Can you give us just briefly outline what you want to do here, what the plan is? We have your plans. We have the planning condition or the report that they've written for us for information. And it all deals
Yes,
with
I'm
the
gonna talk.
TRCA has no objection as well.
There's
Sir?
also a
Yes,
letter of
I'm-
opposition from 53 Collinglindale as well.
Yes, and we have the people here from 49 here. So we have concern on
49,
both
yeah.
sides.
Yep.
Yeah, the issue apparently 53, I read their letter, the issues with the large windows. That seems to be what their concern is, that the fenestration is getting, I don't know if that's issue is a variance, but that's what their concerns appear to be. Okay, so let's hear from the agent.
Yes, if I'm allowed to do a very, very short presentation. So the house itself is a big split house. With
Can
one
you
story
try
in the
speaking a
front.
little clearer and directly into the phone? Because I'm having trouble hearing you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, try to speak a little
Hello?
louder.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Hello?
Yes.
Okay, so the house itself is a big split house, 1 story in front and 2 story in the rear. The house itself was burned some years ago, the 2nd story at the rear. So the application is to build a second-story addition above the existing one-story house and a two-story side addition. And for this, there are two variances. One is regarding floor space index, 0.74, because this 0.74 is calculated actually from the.
Yeah, we have the planning memo that
bank.
explains that if,
Okay.
that the, and I
Yeah.
assume the neighbor has that well, and they could read that you're actually at 0.59.
Actually,
And that's why staff has no
it's,
problem with it. They would at 0.74, but they're saying that's just because of the measurement.
Yeah, actually, I
Table,
would
tabletop of
agree
bank
with
is not
you.
included.
Yes. Actually, I would agree with 0.57 because this is the accurate number. And the other variance is balcony, which is 6.5 square meter. I have been in touch with the planning, the RCA, Ravine Forestry, and I don't have any objection regarding these two variances.
Okay.
Shortly regarding their concern of the neighbors, I've seen the neighbors' letters. I just want to tell to the committee members that this is not a new house like the neighbor in 1949 is saying. This is a second-story addition.
Yes.
And I comply totally with the front yard, setback, side yard, rear yard, building height, lot coverage. And to tell the truth, I can consider this house like a monster's house, and this is not in your house like the neighbor at 49 is pretending. This is all I have to say.
Okay, so let's hear from the neighbor that's, we have the letter from 53, and they're concerned with the windows, and now we're gonna hear from the neighbor at 49, Mrs. Mazuchin. Mrs. Mazuchin, are you with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, can you let us know what your concerns are with this application?
My concerns are, we love to see a new building after this shell of burned house and so forth. But the building that they have a plan for is much, much larger, 64%, in fact, larger than is permitted of the building size.
Yeah, as they pointed
So
out,
we are
have you
on
read,
the
ma'am, have you
north
read the
side.
planning report? Did you read the report from planning?
Yes, I was explained from my son that he's a businessman
Right.
and he knows. So it definitely is the approval for this area. I was told it was supposed to be 2,001 or square footage, and this is going to be over, I believe, over 34 or 36. Anyway, it's like 66% extra large than they permit. And at the same time, we are on the east side of it. It will shut our view of the sun and everything for most of the day. Maybe just in the morning we get a little bit. And then not only it's larger, it will probably be larger in the front and the back. And we have a window, the only window like in the kitchen area, with some space now. Well, that building is going to block all that too. Our house will be dark on the west side, and all day in the afternoon, like from noon till night, the sun will be blocked, the view. And also, we don't even know, they didn't even put down what the height would be of this building.
There is
So
no
we
height
have a-
variance, ma'am, so the height is permitted. Whatever they're showing as height does not trigger a variance, which means it's permitted under the zoning bylaw. The only areas that they're offside is the size of the second floor front balcony, which is slightly oversized. It's 6.5 meters rather than 4 meters, and I'm gonna ask the applicant if it's off a bedroom or if it's off because the concern there that they don't want it in an area where a lot of people are gonna congregate and have a party, but if it's like just off of a bedroom to have a cup of coffee. But the floor space index, and you're right, it is 60%, but that, if you read the staff memo, they're pointing out that it's just because of a measurement issue, and really if it was 0.5, it would be 0.59 and not 0.74 if they were able to use the whole lot to measure.
Well, also,
So your
okay,
answer to your
say,
question, there
that
is no height
house
variance here.
was the same size, the same as ours, the same size, which is back split. So now being much larger
Yes.
and two-story, so it's going to block for sure a lot, you know, of our view, and also a huge, you know, size house like this building, it will be filled with people. It's like living in a condo, big building. I know way back they were very nice people, were friends and so forth. But while they were living there were a lot of families, but they were nice, you know. Then they started moving, you know. But when they rented it to people, to other people, we had so many problems.
Okay,
You wouldn't-
ma'am,
you
we're
wouldn't
just, we're
believe it.
talking, ma'am, we're
Now-
talking here about planning issues. We're not talking about issues of who they rented it to. We just have to have your comments on the
Yes,
built
I know,
form
but
being proposed
such
here.
a large, eventually being such a large home, we would have all kinds of disturbances because there was going to be a lot of people there, not just one
Okay,
family.
so you're assuming because it's large, they're gonna have a lot of people and that could be a problem.
Yeah, and especially if their family, we know them, they're pretty good.
Right.
But when it's rented, oh my God, anyways, but.
Okay, but
the one
that was,
I
you're saying
wanted
after
to,
the fire was rented out, but now they're looking to improve the property. It's being proposed as a single-family home. It's not a duplex or a triplex in terms of the number of people. It is a single-family home.
Well, okay.
Anyway, let's
besides
have,
that,
we'll let, can you just, if you have any other concerns, let us know, and then we'll have the applicant to respond to your concerns.
Yes, well, the main concern and the main opposition is that it blocks our view, and you know, oh yeah, it will devaluate our property for sure. You know, because even our backs are wide but very sharp because we also have an erosion at the back, with some many feet missing from the storms we had years ago. So altogether, it will definitely devaluate our property with such a big building and everything. So this is the point I'm trying to make.
Okay.
The main point.
So you don't feel the fact that if they get approval to build a bigger property, that you could get approval, or someone who you sell to down the road, but you're saying that you feel it devalues your property. You don't have an opinion from a real estate agent, or that's just your opinion?
No, it is. My son is a real estate agent.
Okay.
And he's a real, you know, a real expert broker.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And everybody knows him.
And ma'am, we have a letter in the file from the Conservation.
Helping people.
Okay, just to let you know, the Conservation Authority has written to us. I don't know if you checked the file. They have no objection. The TRCA, the Conservation Authority. So, ma'am, if those are your concerns, let's go back to Mr. Spatty and let him respond, unless committee members have any questions for you at this time. Any questions for Mrs. Mazuchin? No? Okay. Okay, Mr. Spatty, would you like to would you like to respond to the concerns raised by the neighbor at 49 and also the neighbor in the letter at 53 who are concerns with the size of the windows? I don't believe that's a variance.
Yes, I can answer to the neighbor of 53. Actually, the setback is existing and there is no variance there. And in this case, I think the shadow is not going to bring a problem there as long as I'm maintaining the side yard setbacks and the height. Regarding the windows, this can be revised, but anyways, the building code that there are some restrictions there regarding the openings, which I have to follow them. The same thing is the other side. The other side, 49, they are concerned mostly about the windows, which I don't think should be part of this committee hearing. But totally, I'm saying that the height of the building is less than is permitted, and the side yard setbacks, yes, less than permitted.
Okay, thank you. And I'm just reading here from the, I think it's important to read this into the record, that planning staff, because this is explaining the fact that, you know, if someone's going to come and use it as a precedent for 0.74, that they point out that the requested increase in floor space index, that if the entire lot was used to calculate the floor space index would be approximately 0.59 and not 0.74, and that staff has no objection to the variances they've advised. So committee members, do you have any follow-up questions for either the neighbor or for the applicant agent, or are we ready for a motion? Okay, no questions from the neighbors or the applicant.
Mr. Chair, I'm prepared to move approval of this application on the basis that it meets the 4 tests of the Planning Act. And I'm particularly sensitive to the fact that the requested variance for the floor space index is in fact, when considering a calculation based on land ownership, is considerably less aggressive than the variance requested appears to be. So I am prepared to move approval, subject to urban forestry condition number 2.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Taylor. You have a seconder for that motion?
I can second that, Michael.
Thank you, Ms. Alderson. All in favor? You have unanimous approval. Thank you, Mr. Spatty, and thank you, Mrs. Mazuchin, for your input. Okay, so we're going to move back over to item number 9, 19 Outlook, and we called this item earlier. The agent who had been pre-registered by staff was not present. Michaela Silva, are you there?
Hello? Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Okay, yeah, so you're our last application for the morning.
Yes, I got disconnected earlier.
That's okay. You're with us now. So this is for a new detached garage. There's one variance, which is the coverage.
Yes.
13% rather than 10% that's permitted. So very minor, only one single variance. Committee members, would you like a presentation from the agent, or are you just ready to make a motion or have any questions? Very straightforward application.
I have a question.
Okay, question for Mr. Kamarick for you.
There's a existing metal shed that's being shown as to be demolished. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so no other sheds are going to be constructed once the garage is built?
That's correct, yes. That's
there-
why we're making the garage bigger, so that, we can store everything that's in the shed in the garage as well.
That's fine. The reason I ask that is because at some point you're going to get into a problem with regards to minimum green space coverage with the larger garage. So that being the case, that's fine.
Yeah, so you're basically like 10 meters over on the coverage of the ancillary building. So that was a good question. You would be you'd be higher if you weren't demolishing the shed. So any
That's
further
correct.
questions, or someone ready to make a motion? And
I can
there
make a
are-
motion.
There is no conditions on this. Yeah, Ms. Alderson?
I can make a motion. It's a very straightforward application with no conditions, and it certainly meets the 4 tests, so I'm prepared to move that application, yes.
Thank you. Seconder for the motion, Mr. Taylor. All in favor? Unanimous approval. Thank you, Ms. Silva.
Thank you, committee and members. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we now finish the morning agenda, and we stand adjourned until, Madam Secretary Treasurer, 1 p.m., or are we planning on starting? Yeah, maybe if we can do 10 after 5, you do pre-register and get everyone lined up. So, okay, we stand adjourned until this afternoon session. Thank you.
So what time approximately?
Come back around 5 after 1.
5 after 1. Okay,
Yep.
thanks, Barbara.
Thanks.
I can start sound checking the people who are already logging in for the afternoon session. I have an Alda Bedo.
Yes.
Hi, what item are you representing? Or what item are you speaking on?
14 Elder. Let me just check the item number.
Okay, and are you representing the homeowner or are you a neighbor?
No, I'm representing the homeowner. It's my parents.
For 14 Elder?
Yes.
Okay,
Did you
well,
pre-register?
you did not pre-register, and I have an Eddie Perez, who I also see in the caller list, so only one of you can speak. Which one will it be?
Okay, it would be Eddie Perez.
Okay, so in this case, I'm going to expel you off of WebEx, and if you want to just follow along, then you will be able to watch the YouTube stream. That way I have less callers on the application, okay?
Got you. Where can I find that YouTube stream?
Well, it's the link is on the public hearing notice, but if you just go to YouTube and type in Committee of Adjustment Etobicoke,